In any group, whether a team, a community, or an online following, some leaders attract loyalty effortlessly, while others struggle. Why does support flow naturally to some, but evade others, despite good intentions? Over 2 millennia ago, the philosopher Mencius gave the timeless answer: he who gains the support of the people gains the empire, he who loses the support of the people loses the empire. Often translated as those who stand with justice receive much support, those who oppose it receive little, this principle goes beyond ancient politics, it's a universal law of human cooperation. Let's explore how Mencius' insight can help us build stronger teams, communities, and personal influence today. Mencius' concept of the way means acting with righteousness, benevolence, and for the greater good. In organizational behavior, this corresponds to legitimate power versus identified power, authority based on fairness and shared purpose, not mere position. When a leader follows the way, making fair decisions, caring for others' welfare, upholding justice, they naturally attract widespread support. People voluntarily contribute their energy and loyalty because they believe in the cause. Conversely, abandoning the way, acting selfishly, ignoring needs, violating ethics, leads to fragile, fleeting support. Even if coercion temporarily maintains control, the foundation crumbles. Mencius isn't just describing politics, he's revealing a fundamental dynamic of human psychology. We are wired to support what we perceive as fair and beneficial to our community. Thus, standing with justice is not merely idealistic, it's strategically wise. How can we apply Mencius' principle in everyday contexts? Consider 3 practical areas. Team management *, a manager who follows the way ensures transparent communication, distributes tasks fairly, acknowledges contributions, and advocates for the team's well-being. This builds psychological safety and trust. Team members feel valued and are more willing to go the extra mile. In contrast, a manager who plays favorites, takes credit, or imposes unreasonable demands may get compliance out of fear, but genuine support and innovative energy will dwindle. The multi-help effect translates to higher morale, lower turnover, and better results. Community building *, whether you're a neighborhood organizer, club president, or volunteer coordinator, your ability to mobilize people depends on perceived legitimacy. Listen to community needs, design initiatives that serve the common good, and act with integrity. When people see that you're truly working for their benefit, they'll volunteer their time, spread the word, and sustain the effort. A community leader who ignores input or pushes personal agendas will find enthusiasm fading quickly, a classic case of little help. Personal branding *, on social media and professional platforms, influence isn't just about follower counts, it's about the quality of support. Creating content that genuinely educates, entertains, or inspires, content aligned with your audience's values, builds a loyal community that engages, shares, and defends your brand. Chasing trends with shallow or misleading content might bring short-term attention, but it won't cultivate lasting advocacy. As Mencius would say, gain the support of the people by offering real value. Ready to cultivate more support in your own endeavors? Here's a 4-step practice based on Mencius wisdom. Step 1. Align with justice *. Before making a decision or launching a project, ask yourself, is this fair? Does it benefit the larger group, not just me or a select few? Does it uphold ethical standards? When your actions are rooted in justice, you create a magnetic core that attracts like-minded supporters. Step 2. Listen and empathize *. Support flows toward those who understand others' perspectives. Regularly seek feedback, listen without defensiveness, and acknowledge people's concerns. Empathy builds emotional connection, the bridge between mere compliance and wholehearted support. Step 3. Serve the collective good *. Frame your goals in terms of shared benefits. In a team, highlight how each member's contribution advances the common mission. In a community, design projects that address widespread needs. When people see that your success is intertwined with theirs, they become active allies. Step 4. Build trust consistently *. Trust is the currency of support. Keep your promises, admit mistakes, and act with integrity even when no one is watching. Consistency over time turns tentative support into steadfast loyalty. By embodying the way in your leadership, whether leading a project, a neighborhood, or your own personal brand, you'll naturally draw more help, create resilient networks, and achieve outcomes that endure. That's the timeless power of Mencius insight: stand with justice, and the world will stand with you.